Hello, welcome. This is a very special Vox Novus live stream where we are introducing Hon Ning and her preferred instrument, the chromatic harmonica. Hon Ning, how are you?
Nice to see you online. Very nice to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And we have a few composers. Let me bring on David Bone and Sakiko Kasaka.
Hello.
Hi.
Osaka, I'm a composer. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hon Ning, why don't you first start off by just telling us a little bit about you and yourself. Say your name and what you do.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Hon Ning. I come from Hong Kong. And I'm a student composer and chromatic harmonica player. I'm right now studying composition in my final bachelor year at Conservatorium Maastricht in the very south of the Netherlands. So I'm really excited and looking forward to this online conversation and working with composers in the coming few months. So really nice to meet all of you.
And tell us a little bit, why the chromatic harmonica?
Chromatic harmonica. So I actually started quite late. Around 5 years ago, I started learning this instrument seriously when I was still studying as a college student in Hong Kong. And very gratefully, I met my teacher. And he was the one who introduced me to the harmonica world with really I learned from the fundamental, from how to breathe, how to project sound. And then later on, I was exposed to a very wide genre of existing harmonica repertoires. And I was very impressed by its possibility of sound, tone color, different characters. And later on, I just feel motivated that I would like to keep practicing these instruments. But at that time, I didn't have a lot of music education. I was still a science student. In the university. So it was not spontaneous, but it actually took me 1 year to consider taking music as a career path. So perhaps in this case, I could contribute to the harmonica community through performance, but also writing music for it, so that we can expand the repertoires and also different instrumental combination in the contemporary musical stage. And I feel that with this combination of perspective, I have more possibilities as a musician. So I really enjoy working with people. So now I'm still learning, performing, writing at the same time. Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah, performing, composing, that's just do as much as you can as often as you can. Sakiko, you have written a work for harmonica already, is that right?
Yes, a little.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that piece?
I already sent your office my harmonica concerto. It was not performed yet. However, I like it. Yes.
And what do you prefer about the harmonica? What encouraged you to make a piece for it?
I composed only one for harmonica, only harmonica concerto. However, I like harmonica because it is like Chinese instrument Sheng. Do you know? I think.
Yes.
I used harmonica as Japanese instrument show like Japanese ancient double lead instrument. Usually, I used harmonica, two harmonicas for two percussionists in orchestra. For example, my Orihime Vega for orchestra piece, I use two harmonica as Japanese instruments show, like as Chinese instruments Shen.
That's wonderful. And what advantages do you find using the harmonica instead of the show?
In my opinion, Shen's instrument shape very like as show. However, how to use is a little different because Shen has speedy playing. However, show has a slow speed for playing.
Right. Fabulous. And David, have you composed for the harmonica?
Well,
yes,
just one very short, relatively short piece, I think 4 or 5 minutes in length, chamber piece, oddly for two harmonicas, one a regular chromatic harmonica, the other one a bass harmonica, and guitar. So that I've always said for a long time that harmonica was an instrument that frightened me in some ways as a composer. Not in terms of the sound or anything of that sort, but the very specific technical requirements of playing it kind of turned my brain in knots. And so I finally wrote this short piece partly to say, okay, yes, I finally come to this sphere, although frankly, I think it's a pretty simplistic piece.
Well, I'll agree with you there too. I think the harmonica is a pretty intimidating instrument, even though I also I have my own chromatic harmonica from my grandfather.
As do I.
I've loved very. Hon Ning, why don't you tell us a little bit about? Well, give us a little tips on what are some good steps to start and write for the harmonica.
I would say first it would be actually nice to listen to some existing harmonica music just to have some basic ideas of its sound, but it doesn't mean that you have to intimate or you have to compose like that, but like to give you a general knowledge about the instrument, and maybe you find some moments very special, very interesting, and then this could give you a more specific idea. But also I believe for most of the people, when we talk about harmonica, most people consider it as melodic instrument, or like we play chords or accompany the melody like this. But I found that at this moment for chromatic harmonica, there are still more different aspects that we could further discover. For instance, its special tone color, how to play a melody. So we have very different way of also vibratos techniques. It's even not extended techniques, but how to make sounds. There are many different options, and also what distinguish different tone color. Not only the way you play, but also what kind of materials to make the harmonica, it will also change the character, the tone color it will project. So in this case, I would really encourage all the composers maybe to get one harmonica to try yourself. Maybe you will find something unexpected. It's not always like a consonant instrument. You can only play beautiful melody, but there is also the very contrasting character of it. For instance, we could make cluster, like what Sakiko mentioned. It's actually similar. They have the same principle because we are free to reed instruments. So we project sound because of the vibration of the reed inside. So in this case, for this harmonica button, when you press it, no matter the air is inhale or exhale, it will make the step like 1/2 step higher. But if you halfly pressed, you create like a chromatic cluster. You hear the two tones in chromatic step at the same time. But in this case, if you play like a chord and you half pressed, you hear like a very, it's a very like a very giant chord, which you don't hear harmony anymore.
Can you play that a little louder?
Yeah. If simply I just half press my chromatic button. For instance, I play a C-E-G triad, which is, this is exhale. It's a C major triad. And then if I inhale, if I exhale, but I fully press the button, it's C sharp, E sharp, and G sharp because it's a chromatic button. But if I half press, then you hear these two triads at the same time. So because they are the same direction of air, and when you half press, you hear these two triads at the same time, and this creates the cluster harmony. But there is a limitation because if the two pitch, they are not same direction of air, then you cannot play it. But there is still possibility that we can make some impossible chords by playing while singing. So you can sing the pitch which is not which is the opposite direction of air. For instance, C-E-G, C major triad, you cannot play A at the same time because A, La is the inhale pitch. But if you play when you sing the A and B, then actually you hear this kind of choral character of harmonica. It's actually changed the overall impression of the sound anymore because you hear the human voice. You also hear the harmonica sound, but they kind of blend with each other. And yeah, this is very interesting. If any composer would like to include these effects or want to try more, feel free to add these effects. It's also very interesting because I haven't seen any pieces which was notated like this, but Riccardo, one of the composers, I have performed his piece. He was one of the first composers I saw. He used a lot of vocal character of the instruments by speaking into the harmonica, and we project the chord through here. So it's very interesting.
How do you notate that?
He actually just notates the text below the chord I play. So it's very simple. It's like when you are writing a choral piece, you have melody and then text. It's the same. It's the same method.
Like that?
Yeah.
How big of a chord can be played?
So it depends on how big our mouths are. So I think it depends on different people. So I would maybe try a bit with my mouth because octave is very comfortable. So before I play a chord, actually you hear the octave. And this is because I use my tongue to block the middle holes. And this is one of the very fundamentals techniques we learned at the beginning is tongue blocking technique. You can apply this technique to play different intervals, or even using tongue blocking technique to play melody. When your mouth is covering, for instance, 3 or 4 holes at the same time, but the tongues, they are covering three holes, and then to let another hole sound. Let the holes on the left, on the right sound, and with this position, it will give a more like fuller projection, and the sound will, even it's a single pitch, but it sounds richer. So maybe I can demonstrate the difference between pucker, which we just cover one hole to play the single melody, or with the tongue blocking technique. The pucker technique is like this. It's very narrow and focused. But then now I block. So now I open my mouth, and then my tongue is blocking the 3 adjacent holes, and I only let the holes on the right to sound. This is richer, so I don't know whether it could be perceived in online, but there is a difference between tongue blocking and pucker playing. But for the chord, yes, octave, it's very comfortable, and I can also play one. 10 is like one more hole is also possible, and 5, I think 5 is, I can keep it stable. 6 almost, it's not very stable, so 5 holes maximum. And also because our mouth is flexible, so I can play while I change the width, so that's why you can hear different interval at the same time. So inhale, exhale, in, out, I can control. So the direction is one of the parameter which can be changed at the same time. And then the width, how much the mouth is opened, this is also changeable. And then with the button or not. So it's more like I can create a wave, always changing interval, it's possible. Yeah.
So if you playing, I guess 3 holes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can block the middle hole with your tongue.
Yeah.
You get a third.
For instance, if you play a C major triad, which is C, E, and G, and then you block the middle E, then you hear a perfect fifth. But if you play 2 adjacent holes, it depends on the position. Sometimes it's a major third, sometimes a minor third, sometimes it's a major second, for instance A and B, because they are adjacent and they are inhale hole. So this will depends which position is the hole. And if you have like a chart, which is you can easily find it in the internet, there is this register charts, you know which direction, in or out, with or without button, which pitch is it. So this will be this will help you a lot when you consider writing melody or chords in your composition. Yeah.
Fabulous. David, you have some questions about multiphonics, right?
Well, just what is possible. And I think you kind of addressed the beginnings of that.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I couldn't
What
hear the
multiphonics can you play, Hon?
So when you are talking about multiphonics, the one on the whole. So and also there are some multiphonics which is outside the register. So I will maybe talk about the multiphonics which you can make different chords different intervals of pitch first. So it really depends on the positions of the harmonica. But usually when you play chords, you can apply tongue blocking techniques when you want to play an interval, or they are adjacent. For instance, A and B. They are all inhale, so this is a major second. But you can also combine a half press technique to play a cluster, which they are also, or pitch and with a half step interval difference, like B and C. It's a minor second, so you can just play the B, inhale, and half press. So you hear the B and the B sharp, which is B and C at the same time. This is the smaller interval at this moment, and then you can hear C and C sharp. This is all the half press technique to make the minor second. Yeah, and then major second, it's also possible, but they are mostly inhale holes, like F and A and B, for instance. So this is just use your mouth to cover. You can use the tongue blocking technique to cover the 3 holes, and then you only let the 2 holes sound, or you just fill in with the 2 holes and then play the 2 holes at the same time. And you can play, of course, triad, which are very comfortable, easier. And then afterwards, 6th. It's also possible, and an octave. This is 10th, but it's really wide, so it's also possible. And this when you study the charts, then you can already imagine how to cover your mouth, which holes to be blocked. And this is one of the possibility of multiphonics. Another area which I'm still exploring, it's something outside the existing register, which I still couldn't really give a very clear summarization at this moment, because I'm also searching right now. It's like flutes, basically. When you are playing like a pitch, we consider this as the fundamental pitch, for instance. And then when you are changing your embouchure, for instance, when it becomes narrow and narrower, the air flow, the air rates will actually influence the pitch. It will go to higher and higher harmonic series. I can make an example, but just for you to have an idea what does it mean for outside the register. So let's say now I'm playing the highest D, which is the highest pitch from my current model. It's a 14-hole model, so this is D7. But now I play this D again, but from a very loose, airy, I don't focus that much when I play it, and then I would try to adjust my embouchure so that you will hear something else. Did you hear something? Yeah. It's in the very high, at the very high partials of this D's would trigger, because I was adjusting my embouchure. It's just become narrow and narrow, more and more focus, and then you can hear this very high pitch, but it's outside the register. And I found it quite effective for the inhale pitch at high register. It's very sharp. It almost reminds me of electronic music, and yeah, it's the extreme side of the instrument. I still discover how to find those pitch specifically, the very high partial. So it would be nice to actually sit down and use some tools to analyze the spectrum, so I would know which partial I triggered, and maybe would be nice to create some multiphonic charts later for the composers, but I'm still working on this part because I also concerned about whether it will cause any damage to the reed, because it's a very sensitive instrument inside. So sometimes it will change the humidity, the temperature, anything will cause a big change of the instrument. It could be very unstable. So I'm still discovering and
So
trying to see.
I would say you don't know how to trigger particular harmonics. It's more of a color.
Yeah, it's more like a result, but I don't know which partial I actually triggered.
Right.
Yeah, but you usually hear around that partial, but it's still up to how you controlled. So at this moment, honestly speaking, I can make similar sound, but I'm not sure how to describe like how much narrow I should keep my throats, and it's still a bit unstable at this moment. So I would think it like an effect at this moment, and it's a
Sure.
gradual effect. I couldn't play it like a normal pitch, like staccato, but it's always take time from nothing to something. And it's also possible to play this very high multiphonics, which it coincides with the fundamental pitch. For instance, you can hear the D and the D very high partial at the same time if you control it well. It's actually coincides, but it's very unstable and it's very soft. So yeah, this is something not quite common yet in the current compositions for harmonica. So maybe it would be interesting for some composers. Yeah.
Let me ask another question from Justin Ryder.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, does the composer need to show the half press, or does the performer know when to do this?
Actually, it depends. If you have a very clear definition in the legend, I could understand. For some composers, they simply write the chord, which doesn't need to be pressed. For instance, if you want to hear the C, E, G, and C sharp, E sharp, G sharp at the same time, you can write C triad, C, E, G, and then half press like a H, or with like an arrow with a line. So just to you can create your own symbol. Or some composer, they just write all the notes. So I will see, and it's fine. It's all fine.
I have
You
another
can
question.
either write all the pitches, which is very specific, or you write one situation and then half press.
So, Jose was asking, like, technically speaking, could you compare writing for the harmonica with the same thought processes, for instance, as the piano? And I guess there's two questions in there. One is just notation. And I guess in notation wise, like you were just saying, if they wrote like a piano, that would be fine. You could read it that way. Or no.
Well, I think it's very different way of thinking, because I consider piano almost like an orchestra, because we have two hands and you can play left, right, very far, very close, inside, outside on the key. But for harmonica, we do have this limitation. Let me just make a very simple example. For piano, it's very easy to make leap fast because you have two hands. You can play the lowest to the highest immediately. But we make this jump. It's requires a lot of time of practice, but they are not the natural. If you want to write a very fast figures, but they are always with leap, then this is technically not very comfortable for the player. So this is limitation, because when we are playing for a long time, of course, we have the muscle memory to play a very slow melody. We can go from a very low register to high register. If we remember this feeling, because this is about like violin at the same time, we don't have to see exactly where is it, but we practice, we have the memory of our muscle. So this is the same for harmonica, but it's continuous fast figure with leap, then this is not a very it's not very comfortable for the player, but it also depends on the musical context. So yeah.
I think it's also important for composers to realize that it's also a lot like a harp, right? When you're pressing a chromatic, you can't play every note simultaneously in chords and things like that.
Yeah. But I could maybe extend this a bit. So there are some way of playing same notes fast. For instance, use very fast tonguing. You can play like a tremolo for C, for instance. It's a bit like flutes. And then if you want to hear another different colors, as we know that the middle C, the whole on the left of the middle C, it's also a C. So it's enharmonic, they are equivalent. It's the same C. I can do C, 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 just adjacent, but not the same whole. It's more legato because I'm moving. I'm not tonguing anymore. I'm moving. So this is a legato kind of tremolo effect, and this is a staccato tremolo. So you can specify it. And also, some composers, like Riccardo, his piece, he also applied this beat effect of same pitch, same C. When you play, you hear the beats. Now I play two Cs at the same time. This is one C. Another C. They are more or less the same, but now I play these two C at the same time. It suddenly becomes very hollow, and at the lower register it's very obvious. Now I cover the 2C. The highest. This sounds like diatonic harmonica, like this kind of sound. Instead of one whole. But
Fabulous.
The beats, yeah.
Let me ask you about some. You've played with some larger ensemble, right?
Large ensemble.
With the harmonica, and so talk about the difficulties of balancing that with other instruments.
Wow, it's a very challenging practice for me because my last experience playing with large ensemble, it's actually a piece not written for harmonica and orchestra, but it was a violin concerto by a Finnish composer, Einojuhani Rautavaara. And because I really like his music, I decided to play the whole violin line in harmonica together with the whole orchestra. And without any amplification, it's very difficult to project the sound fully. And especially when everyone is playing like as a tutti, then it's very difficult to be heard even. But actually, for some existing harmonica concertos, they blend quite well with the orchestra or with the big ensemble. There are also some. I just discovered a piece by Italian composer Francesco. He has a piece written for harmonica and ensemble with the large ensemble, but he actually make a very smart balance between ensemble sound and harmonica sound by register and timbre, because sometimes our high register, you don't have to play loud, it's sharp. So when you are playing with a lot of low brass instruments and you play like very high register of the harmonica sound, it's very clear that there is two register range and you don't have to like compete with the ensemble, but you can still be very solistic. So this is a very interesting situation when you write for harmonica and big ensemble. Try to think about the contrast and what kind of color you want to bring, because it's not always like melody and then accompany. So we have more possibility of sound combination, and sometimes you can even think about what is the similarity of harmonica with different instruments from the orchestra. So this would be like a possibility to consider how to combine them. So it's challenging. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kiko, when you were writing your concerto with harmonica, what were some of the considerations that you made for full ensemble?
I have a question. Okay.
Yep. Please.
I have 3 questions. Excuse me.
No,
One,
no. Feel free.
can
Yeah.
you perform circular breathing like voiced?
Sorry, I at this moment I can't, but I'm learning actually since I found your question through Robert, because I know that it's possible to master with like flutes, for instance, clarinets. It's also common for the winged player, but for me, honestly speaking, I had the asthma triggered a few years ago when I got COVID, and then afterwards all my techniques was like suddenly back to zero. And since 2 years ago, I start playing it, building my technique again from the very beginning. And one of my like main challenge at this moment is breath. I feel easily like running out of air, and at the same time, I still need to find a way to sustain the sound, like to have a very stable sound. But I'm learning the circular breathing, and I would be open to this technique actually, because it's not technically impossible, and it could be. You can find a way to exchange the air, but still, I don't know whether it's audible, like this change moment. So yeah, it's possible. I also saw a harmonica player who did that with circular breathing online in the past. So this is a possible technique. Yeah.
Thank you. And more. Can you perform flutter tonguing like a flutist? How long can you sustain?
You mean like this? I don't know. Is that the sound you are looking for, or what kind of fluttering, like flutes?
Like flute.
It would be better if I'm speaking Spanish. I can't do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I will count how long I could sustain. Actually, I haven't used this technique when I play. Yeah, but it's one of the common one, I think, in some virtuosic like cadenza moments for harmonica. Yeah, this is possible. I will practice. Yeah.
Thank you. And one more. Can you perform microtone?
Yeah. So microtone, sometimes you just cannot avoid playing a bit out of tune because the temperature is unstable. This is one of the situation we need to be aware of. And then sometimes if you want to go a bit slower, you can bend with your tongue so that it's going down. And then if you make this process fast, it's a throat vibrato, so it will maybe relate you to some jazz music. I'm using my throat to control the vibration frequency. And this is also very common technique of harmonica. And you can specify it in the score, maybe with graphic or from no vibrato to mortal vibrato. So this is very clear. And another direction is overblow. You can also change the pitch. For instance, now I'm in the lowest G, but if I overblow it, Yeah, this is also possible.
Wait, when you overblow it, can you do that again?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it actually pitches down.
Yeah. But at high, oh, sorry. At the higher register, it's not effective. But low register. But still not too intense because it might affect the flexibility of the reeds. So just be careful not use this technique too much. Yeah.
And Jim Dalton was asking, so when you're doing the microtones, you can get as far as a quarter tone. Yeah, I thought I heard that at least.
Oh yeah, this is ambiguous. It really depends on the register.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you can first find this normal pitch easily, and then you do the like microtone. Like you cannot suddenly play a chord like a quarter flat, quarter sharp, because you need this time to change and to bend. But there is I would propose, if you are if you want to go into this microtonal direction, maybe you can write like the guidelines on the top of the music. Play it with a bit loose embouchure, not that focus. So I'm not very focused sound. It's like kind of out of tune. But if you specify it, I can also play, but not too fast because it needs to be searched. So yeah, for microtone.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Great. Perfect. Let me see if I have some other. I know.
Well, I've got a question notationally. With chromatic harmonica, you've got some notes that are in common between the inhale and exhale, and also using the slide. For example, you've got the E, and then you go to the F. You've got the choice of either inhale, versus using the slide to get the F.
It's a very good question.
How would you notate if you want specifically to use the slide? Would that be something where you would notate the F and E sharp, or is that something where you would use a different symbol to indicate?
So this is a notation question, right? So sometimes you want a trio with E exhale, F inhale. Sometimes you want the E F, not, it's like E sharp with the button.
Okay.
With the chromatic
even a single note going.
Yeah, like
Right.
E and
But
E sharp.
even slowly, that it becomes more legato than, say, where you got a little bit of a gap as the air direction changes.
That's true.
E sharp.
So I can't hear the sound sometimes.
So I think he's just asking, like, what's the best way to notate whether you want it as either breathing or in or out, or whether to use the slide. Is there specific ways to make that direction on the score?
First, it's when we receive the score, we will really study the context. If you are writing a melody, let's say a legato melody, from E to F and then to A, let's say, then we have actually two decisions how to play this F. Because if you play from E to E sharp, then the E and F is connected. But then from this E sharp to A is also a change of direction of air. So that's why we have to understand how to make the whole line as one wave. And for some composer, they really want to specify the direction or which whole specifically. You can write the whole number actually on top of the notes, or you just write E sharp instead of F. Then everything is clear. E and E sharp trio. Then it's very clear, and we can make a very smooth legato. Yeah.
Gotcha. And it's a simple question. So how
Sure.
do you number the holes on the harmonica?
So the first two, usually the first two holes, this is a 14 holes model. The first two holes we don't start. We start from the third one, which is number 1, and then to the end. So yeah. This is, you even don't have to write the number of the hole if you want to just specify which pitch. Because, for instance, what David said, E and E sharp, it's very fixed. It's that hole, but the whole number will be very useful if we want to specify which C it's played. Like the 4 and 5 is this middle C region, and 9 and 8 and 9 is the 1 octave higher. So these two numbers is important. So yeah,
Gotcha.
in the charts you will see the number of the holes. I can also upload one later for the composers if they want to use the whole system.
That'd be perfect. And
uploading some of these charts would be very nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Wait, where's that question? There we go. About the partial effect from the high register that you mentioned previously, is it possible to notate an ideal register like mid-high of the partial that you triggered when coming to using that effect?
Yeah, it's a very specific question. And I would say at this moment, I can only trigger the specific partial which I couldn't really control which partial it will bring out. But you could specify the region by what you hear. It's to specify the results you hear, but I cannot change which partial will be triggered. At this moment, it's quite fixed. And I was wondering, maybe it can also be changed if I later play another harmonica, then it will bring different harmonic result because of the material. So for this reason, I would say you can for sure first specify which notes as the fundamental notes, and then you trigger the partial as what you listen to. You can actually find that pitch, but it's very high and sometimes it's inaudible. So yeah.
And can you make those the harmonic pitches for all the holes on the harmonica,
No.
or is there a range that's better?
Some of them, the low register from the first hole to the fourth hole, it's possible with all the inhale direction and inhale with button. It's possible. The middle register also. This is it depends on each hole, and sometimes they are not that high. Sometimes it's very high and inaudible. So we have to check each hole. So if you have any specific hole number, I can try and maybe I can make a sample also for the composer later if they are interested in the multiphonic effects. Yeah.
Can you show me how it's done on the low holes?
This is the lowest hole. No sound. This is the second hole. Yeah.
Right.
Like this. It's all inhale, but for exhale, I couldn't make any like partials, very high partial. Only
Gotcha.
inhale I found at this moment. I'm still not sure whether it's healthy for the instrument because it's a very fragile instrument inside. Yeah. Thank you.
Is it able to listen in a large concert hall? Now it's a air tone you play. Now you play air tone.
Air.
Air tone. Is it able to listen in a large hall?
What do you mean by air? Yes.
Air tone is maybe a very little sound. However, is it able to can audience listen them in a large hall?
What do you mean by large hole?
Large concert hall.
The air notes, like no pitch or.
Yes.
But do you want me to play into the hole to make this winged noise, or just make some noise without pitch?
Yes. Again, can you perform with only air, not with actual tones? And is it able to listen for all audience in the concert hall?
Well, when you are playing into the hole, it's always you hear the vibration of the reeds, so there is pitch, but there is some way to make noise without blowing into the hole. For instance, if I do this is not playing in with the hole. If you, as long as you change the angle, so then you hear, because you are blowing into the instrument. So you can do, this is winged sound actually, but it's not playing into the instrument. It's just you are blowing these plates and you hear the wings. But I'm not quite sure, like the airless, like the pitchless notes, it's not like flute that you can really blow with a specific fingering and then you hear only here, or half ear, half pitch, because you need to focus when you make the pitch. So this is a bit different from the wind instruments. Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Oh, but I could add one more thing about air replaying. If you if you play with distance like this, it's like almost like a distorted sound. You hear the wind and you hear the pitch. But only for exhale, because you cannot. Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
Playing with
Great.
distance. Mhm.
What other extended techniques can you show us?
The speaking one, have you listened to in the music? I think I haven't tried that. If we can, maybe I can just speak something randomly. Yeah, I practice this speaking effects a lot because of Riccardo's composition. Yeah, and then this is not extended technique, but I would encourage composer to specify if they want to have, let's say, different kinds of vibrato. They can specify with hand, with throat, or no vibrato. We will make a big change of the sound. So yeah. And also cluster, we talked about it before. it's free. It's up to you to write either one of the chord and then with the half press symbol, or write all the pitch at the same time. Glissando effects. Half press glissando. It's possible. And then we also talk about singing while playing. If you sing and play the same pitch, it's another beat effect. So now I can apply microtone in my singing, so you also hear another interaction between like a bit flat C and the C you play. So yeah, this is something maybe not that common yet in the current composition. So if any one of you would like to explore further, feel free to include in the music. Yeah.
And I also had a question. So you were talking about playing like a wide range and stopping notes with your tongue. How many can you do? Like, so you said, let's say you're max, right? You can do up to 6 pulls.
Yeah.
Can you block like the 3 or 4 in between?
Yeah. If I play the octave, I'm blocking the 3 holes, adjacent holes in the middle. So I play the octave, and then one more hose to be blocked if I play 10th. So yeah, I think if you want to block a hole, you can block from 1 hose, 2 hose, 3, 4, 5. For me, 5 maximum. Yeah.
And Jim is asking, are there different compound articulations possible? I just use the same like symbol like this.
Gotcha.
No, we can. Yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. Now I'm like reaching out to the World Wide Web. Are there any other questions?
Thank you very much. I'm also discovering in the process, so it's very nice to hear different questions, and I'm also thinking about that questions. Yeah.
Great. Well, and so let me make an announcement. So Hon Ning is going to be doing 15 minutes of fame with us. So we're looking for 1-minute works written for the chromatic harmonica. That call is up and live on Music Avatar. So I encourage everybody to write a piece for her. That would be fabulous. And yeah, so Hon Ning, when looking at pieces, is there any particular style or aesthetic that you like to play, or you just want to do the blues, right? I know.
Yeah, I would say like as a composer, also performer, I just would like to be open and respect different languages, different aesthetics. And I'm open to any genres as long as they are very different. So it's also very difficult to choose 15 pieces. And that's why I will hope each piece is unique and has a very strong idea behind. So yeah.
I heavily encourage that for composers to like just do their thing and do what they are gravitate to and are best at, or if you're going to make experiments,
yes, why not?
Go nuts. Yeah.
Maybe something is technically impossible for me at this moment, but I will try my best to learn and realize it. I'm really looking forward. It's a very meaningful platform, also opportunity for us harmonica player. And now I think we have more and more people who are interested in not only writing for it, but also playing it. So I believe one day it will be more present to the contemporary musical stage. So I'm very hopeful about it.
Yeah. Eric Branch asked if it would be possible to have a written discussion on the technical issues. He said in the body of text of the call for the scores. So on the, Hon Ning and I will talk more about this, but we're always, like you said, she'll make some charts for us, which I will include. Probably not in the call. I'll probably include it on her webpage. We're making a webpage which has the call and so forth. So we'll have links, and yeah, Hon Ning, I think we'll do a little bit more of that. We've been going back and forth on some written stuff already.
Having those charts handy would be a definite plus, particularly as to being able to play more than one pitch at the same time.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
He said it would be great, especially playing more than one pitch at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
Sakiko, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, one more. Can you perform with singing?
Sorry, singing? Playing?
With singing, can you perform?
So you want me to play and sing another melody, like play one pitch, or
like humming?
Okay, I will try. I remember I just tried it before, so I stay in one pitch and I try to sing with intervals and scale melody. I can try again.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yes, I can sing when it is exhale. Yeah.
Awesome. Hon Ning, would you like to close by saying, do you have anything to say to the composers or to the audience, or?
Well, it's really first time to speak in an online live meeting, and I was very nervous, to be honest. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for all the questions and also having me in this call. So I will look forward to the coming compositions, and I'm always open to any forms of collaborations, even outside these chords in the future. If your music need harmonica and you have any questions, always feel free to reach out, and I'm looking forward. And thank you really much for this amazing platform.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, you did fabulous. I know it always seems daunting and nervous to be out in front of the crowd, but you did a great job, and you were excellent at explaining lots of our questions. I'm really excited at all the. There were a lot of inquiries. There's a lot of excited composers. I can tell you, we all really appreciate you getting out there and like showing us what you can do and how you can do it. And we love your energy in like learning new things. I can tell you, I can speak for myself. I'm one of those composers that likes sort of pushing and almost breaking the instrument. So, it's great to see you try our crazy ideas.
I believe this kind of energy is mutual. So I believe I will learn a lot from all these compositions, different perspectives. So Yeah.
And I know, David, do you have any advice about looking over pieces? And as a musician, you've been on the other side of the fence too.
I'd have to think about that and put something together.
You know what? I saw this last minute question come in here too. Is there sound using the other side? I happen to know the answer to this, but
I'm trying to. Is there sound using the other side?
if you flip your harmonica around and go the other way.
I never tried before. No, I think only wings because it's different.
It's good to ask that. I did that when I was like 6 or 7. I tried.
But you create very strong wind, so actually you hear something. There's pitch. Interesting. Here, we can hear the pitch from here. Yeah, it also depends. I think different structure of harmonicas, but I hear something. There is sound.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's like another direction, but it's actually the pitch. So.
But you did get a lot of wind. I think that's how we get Sakiko's.
Maybe it can be for answer your questions, Sakiko's question, because this is wind and pitch, but it's very soft pitch. So for this other side playing, the wind is more dominant than pitch. The pitch is more like a soundscape, very, very soft, very gentle. But the wind is very violent in order to let the pitch sound. Otherwise, you only hear wind, no pitch. Yes, this is a lovely question. I never play like this, to be honest. Yeah.
Get ready.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
Forward. Thank you for ETG sounds like ETG.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you again.
My pleasure. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to this call of scores. The deadline is going to be on November 1st. So everybody has a lot of time to think of their things. It's live on Music Avatar. And you can just contact Hon Ning if you have any specific questions. Great. Sakiko, I want to thank you for joining us. I know it's very late where you are.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your participation in this. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you, tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping that we get to hear your piece for harmonica soon. That would be lovely. David, thank you also for joining us. Always a pleasure, my friend. And we'll see
Likewise.
Things to come. All right. Thank you. And thank you, audience, for joining us. I appreciate all your questions and your enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to pieces from every one of you. So, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.